Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Suzerain, a choose-your-own-adventure role-playing visual novel strategy game. That's a mouthful. This is episode number 13 of our Let's Play series in this fictional country as a fictional president in a fictional Cold War. Jeez. But yeah, we just came off completing our first mega project, a highway. We just invested in another mega project, a port. And we are trying to fix the economy, although things have not been going entirely well. We've sort of have an energy crisis looming. We've been trying to reform our education system to privatize it, but without more money. And so things are a little bit rocky, all while we're trying to amend the Constitution. So we'll see how things play out. That's basically where we're at right now in this game. And I'm going to go ahead and step aside. So hope you guys enjoy turning it over to my live stream yourself. This is from like a week ago. But if you're interested in following live streams from me, you can go to my Twitch channel, link in the description, and away we go. Failed education reform. Okay, so apparently our privatization program failed. We're going back to traditional education. Good to know. Fucking... Alright, so we're gonna meet with Kabul blah blah blah. National Front Party. I've been looking forward to speaking with you in private, Mr. Kebner. Likewise, President Rayne, we have much to discuss. I hope you don't mind this late delay. I was stopped by the police on my way here. It seemed to be subject more to such random checks these days. Some key figures in my party are also reporting obstructions from the state. It seems that your reforms aren't sitting well with certain members of the old guard. Is that an original Rippo? You bet, Mr. President. It's one of the firsts. Please, keep it. It's a bullet mark. Believe it or not, this lighter is the reason I'm alive today. Thankful the damn assassin was Bloodish. No wonder he was incompetent. Oh, God. All right. The Bloodish independence movement, for example. Not only do our separatists pose an existential threat to us, they also threaten our neighbors in Valen. Closing the border with Valen has helped, but the countryside of Nargas and Berge continue to be plagued by the BFF. Rumburg is using them to weaken us. Rumburg and the BFF will both meet a bad end if they dare to divide Sordland. That's right! Religious Harmony Bill. Our party and many members of parliament worked extremely hard on this project, but you decided to veto it. Why are you ignoring the problem? The Bloodish are using Neurotury as a tool in their quest for independence. That's a direct threat. The bill was practically a recruitment flyer for the BFF. In this case, doing nothing is far worse. The BFF is actively using priests in majority Bloodish areas, but let's not get off track. Look, I went over your proposed constitutional changes. I don't see many problems with the draft, honestly, but I assure you the rest of the assembly will be worried, very worried. If you don't have my backing, there's no way you can ever hope to pass the bill. That's why I want you to listen to me very carefully. As I mentioned, there's more pressing situations in Sordland right now. The BFF isn't even half of it. There's the matter with the communists. Those damn rats are everywhere. You get me 10 more beer. But I'll give you credit. You've done well to curb the violence by banning the Red Youth. It's no surprise, really. This sort of proactive move is exactly what I'd expect from a former young sword. Thank you, Kessero. Here's what I had in mind. I was in Bergia some time ago, and I visited one of their village schools. I went in to greet the students, and to my shock, none of the children knew how to speak Sordish. Can you believe it? They didn't understand me. Their own countrymen. Oh boy. The bill I call the Unified Education Language Act. So your answer is to ban them completely from speaking Bloodish at school? They can speak to each other in whatever language they want, but they must learn Sordish. That is it. I don't think so. I'm confused. I didn't even give him what he wanted, and he's gonna support me? Okay. Apologies, but I must refuse. So I guess I'm already doing what he wants me to do. So he's willing to, okay. I'm already doing what he wants me to do, so I guess that's why he's willing to support the amendment. My past actions were racist enough against the Bloods. Great. He's killing his own people. Fucking A. Yeah, he was also happy I banned the Red Youth. That's true. I was anti-communist and anti-Bloodish enough. Hey, Iron. Oh, by the way, now that you said you bought the game, I actually was given 3 keys from the developer to give away, so I won't be doing that tonight, but I'll probably do that either later this week or this weekend. I'll do some kind of giveaway thing on a stream, and we'll give the keys away. But I do have 3 keys that I will be giving away to 3 lucky people. Ward company contract for the new investment project. What? Why do I have to spend more money? The SCSC and Underhill Construction and Taurus holding companies have put forward their bids in the hopes of winning the government contract for the new ambitious investment. I don't even get to discuss it? So Taurus is going to do a bad job. That's 100%. They're a young fly-by-night company, but I can't go -4 into budget. God. I'm guessing this is where we talk about the failure of the education reforms. Reminiscing about the past. Our fuel is running out at the Ministry of Education. My efforts of trying to reform the education system failed. Our education system is in shambles, and I'm going to do my best to pick up the pieces and keep it going. What little money we allocated from privatization will be diverted to improvements. I doubt it'll be enough to make a substantial change. I'm sure you'll make do. That's precisely the problem. We can't. We'll have to make cuts from wherever we can. Talked with Miss Suno to schedule some time to discuss the curriculum. Thank you for your efforts. All right, so the port's under construction. Probably going to get delayed. What next? The Ministry of Justice has reviewed Erson v. Sordland and put forward its concurrent opinion before sending the dispute to the Supreme Court. The Minister of Justice, Nia Morgana, came forward agreeing with the case of Ishval Erson and pointed out a majority of the court dissent would do disservice to legal precedent of future constitutional rights. The case is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. I thought we didn't want that to happen. Mr. President. Yes, what is it? Mr. Manager's on the line. He said it's about an investment. Very well. Mr. Manager, to what do I owe the pleasure? As your secretary might have informed you, I'm calling about what we discussed at the party. I'm honestly very glad that I've decided to attend Mr. Vice President's little gathering. An enjoyable party turned out to be even more enjoyable with the actual results of it. Then, what about the results? I'm very happy to inform you that your investment to procure the vineyard in Elray has been accepted by the current resident. You are now the owner of a lovely vineyard, a beautiful villa, and sizable land. As I mentioned before, there might be some cost related to refurbishing the winemaking equipment, however the facilities are there. I'll have the deed sent and the keys sent to you immediately. Thank you. Thanks again. Okay, so now we have a vineyard. Wine bottle. My wealth increased. Can I give some of my wealth to the economy? Good God. Another setback in Anton Rayne's sad attempt to reform the Swordist Constitution. PFJP head Franz Richter at today's party conference has condemned Rayne's proposal as solist, claiming the changes would be too weak to accomplish anything resembling real democracy. If even the PFJP thinks the reforms ineffectual, they must be downright milquetoast, and chances are they'll be watered down even further. I don't know about that. I think if we get the NFP behind it, we should already have a majority then. What's going on over at Lockhaven? Gasum state shares divestment. State can sell shares in Gasum with varying budgetary results. Given the financial landscape revealed by Gasum report, a strategic decision on the divestment of our shares in Gasum looms. It is now possible to consider selling shares at an amount of our stake in the company, or keep our shares for potential future profit share. The future outcome will vary based on the activity of the share price of the company. What if I sell 2/3 shares? What I need more money, so I guess sell 2/3 of shares. Does it give me money? I don't get money? I'm very confused. Shouldn't I get money? If I'm selling shares, I should be getting money. Maybe that'll happen after the turn ends once we do the education thing. But she's going to want more money, and I'm not going to know if I'm going to get more money. That's the problem. We didn't change it. It's at 20%. But we bought two growth, like we bought two whatever worth. Okay. Evolution versus creationism. As it currently stands, schools across Sordland can decide whether to include evolution or creationism or both in the curriculum. Rural schools often decide in favor of creationism. Okay. Suggestions to make teaching evolution mandatory and preferably ban creationism altogether. I'm not going to ban creationism. That'll piss off the religious folks. I don't see a problem with teaching our children both. That would be one way to compromise, but does creation really help open the minds of our children? It's also about the values of the people, and if they're religious and they want that in their curriculum, I do think it's worth at least teaching the theory that they believe in. Honestly, that's a valid argument. I can live with that. Okay. It's my conviction that we should require mandatory teaching of evolution in Sordland's public schools and cut creationism completely out. If we want children from rural areas to have the same opportunities as their urban counterparts, this is the way. Opening students' minds and reducing the role of religion in schools will also will lead to more equality between young men and women. Don't bring your pet causes into this. You failed your reforms and now you want to remove belief from schools? Your education budget didn't make the cut. Nothing can be done about it. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. I already made my mind up. Seriously? I'm gonna lose voters, Lucian, if I... Okay. In theory, we already have the support of the NFJP, so we should be good there, I think. So I'm gonna split the baby and we're gonna do both. Sierra, you just said I had a valid point, so get over it. So I don't get any more money for selling my shares? This is obnoxious. What was the point in selling my shares if I didn't get money for it? The game really needs to tell you what you're going to get for selling your shares. Okay. Economic report from Vagsland. I don't understand, like, we didn't get any benefit from automating the farms either, which was a little bit confusing. You would have thought we would have gotten something. Lorraine economy stabilizing. Agline economy is stabilizing. Good. I already told him I wasn't going to support the law, so... The language bill? I already said we weren't going to support that. All right, let's start our lobbying efforts. Ooh, I can use personal wealth. Chief Strategist Lucian Gould has prepared a well-planned lobbying effort in Parliament, which will specifically sway on the fence MPs with the upcoming Constitution vote. We will spend a generous amount of money to sway MPs. This isn't directly bribing, is it? It's gifts and political favors and parties. A generous amount. Not lavish, generous. It's not corruption. Sir, I see my reason for not spending generously, Gaius, is the fact that, well, I spent generous, but I didn't spend lavish. And the reason I didn't spend lavish is because the PF or the NFP has already agreed to support me. So that's 40 votes. That should put me well clear of the threshold, I would think. Unless Kebner doesn't follow through. Surge drove us to the city of Jen, the stronghold of Swordist Nationalist. Have I made the corruption police? No. The stronghold of Swordist Nationalists? At least I don't think I did. I didn't give him more money. Maybe I did do the corruption police. I can't remember. The National Front Party, which governed the city, undoubtedly had the biggest hand in the organization of the Victory Day Parade. Okay. Ian departed whole sword first. Peter and I left a little bit later. Peter was standing next to me in the presidential card, skimming through the morning newspapers in silence. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, we're about ready to arrive at the Gen City Center of Culture. Miss Morgana has already arrived and she'll be waiting for you. Nice moustache. Peter raised his head to look out the window. That was a comfortable drive. I've only increased the military, guys. See, I wasn't joking. Surge is the best. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. It's been a while since I've heard that name. Probably a genocide battalion then, right? Got out of the car, walked toward the entrance of the building. Every spot around us was decorated with flags of Sordland. Because Peter is smug, and he's a lush. Probably the same reason why we're here. It's Victory Day, remember? Thank you for being here on the glorious day, Mr. President and Vice President. As the former mayor of Jen, it's an honor to welcome you to this fine city. Looks like you were a good mayor. Maybe you should consider running for local office again. I'm sure I'll do even better as president. Okay. He wants my job, huh? Before we go in, is everything ready with your party? What last minute surprises are you referring to? Okay. Who are these people? Why are we discussing this on Victory Day? Okay. Our analysis of the current tensions between the Bloodish and Swordist population in Sordland displays a worrying picture. As much as I hate to say it, the threat of Bloodish Freedom Front is getting real again. The situation with Rumburg and Valen is very concerning. The increasingly discriminatory actions of Governor Berge are resulting in radicalization of many young Bloodish people. Distressingly, the number of radicals have almost doubled after the implication of our armed forces' involvement in Bear Trap. The recruitment numbers of the BFF have significantly increased within Nurist communities. This is correct. The report showed that 39 Nurist sanctuaries in Berge are now classified as red threats by the authorities. Many priests in the region are also suspecting having ties to the BFF. The Religious Harmony Bill would have directly crippled this network. Yeah, I don't believe you, Kessero. I'll just say I'm regretting my decision to veto the bill. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. We're not banning the Bloodish language. You guys, why am I even here? We're playing Suzerain, Panito. It is a choose your own adventure visual novel role-playing game, sort of. My goodness. I don't see how this helps with the situation. It doesn't. It's simple as that. The PFJP will not allow this bill to pass the Assembly. Okay. Situation is also connected to Rumburg. As everybody already knows, in the case of the future incursion, BFF forces in Sordland could become an existential threat. We're already working on removing the authority of the governor. That is BFF propaganda. What rights are we talking about here? Oh my goodness. Please don't raise your voice, Mr. Holstrom. Mr. Vectorn is the last person we'd need to rely on to defend us. What's that supposed to mean? Enough! This is a mess. I thought we were here for a proper meeting. Yes, our administration should take all possible opportunities to expand the rights of our Bloodish populace while stamping out the BFF militants in parallel. This must be the long-term strategy. However, we require your support with a more pressing matter. This might have very significant consequences for our Bloodish citizens and may serve as a dangerous trigger if we're not careful. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and Mrs. Minister, as you already know, there's a major Supreme Court case at the moment. Isfel Ersson is suing the governor of Bergia, Felix Braun, for infringing upon the liberties of the Bloodish people and demanding the constitution be revised. Because of the argument and the implication, Felix Braun, and consequently the very constitution of Sordland, is under trial. The fact he needs to be punished, and the constitution must be reviewed. I'm aware of this case, and in fact, we're already working on revoking the current special zone of Bergia. That's great to hear. We would be very happy if you can share the details once they're more concrete. We will definitely give support to that when the time comes, Mr. President. However, the case of Isfel Ersson has bigger reach than Bergia. I was actively involved in this case. Because of the implications of the Constitution, there's no way the Supreme Court will agree with Isfel Ersson on all the points. Not if all three parties of the Assembly support Ersson together. We can put pressure on them, and only need them to agree on a few of those points. Why do you think that would influence the court's decision? This has never happened before, Mr. President. They surely cannot ignore us if all three parties are united and we provide them with our analysis. Besides, if the NFP can see it necessary to de-escalate, I'm sure the soulless judges can too. So you just believe in Hawker and hope for the best? I thought you would have a better plan than this. What's the significance of this case? If the court rules against Ersson, it'll most likely turn into a BFF campaign for Bloodish revolution. I and the NFP are ready to push for de-escalation and aid our nation during this dangerous time. The BFF is, what's the best way to think of it? Is it kind of like the PLO, sort of, I guess? It's sort of a terrorist arm-ish, or at least historically it's been a terrorist arm of a racially oppressed group of minorities within our borders. There's a lot of similarities to like the Kurds in this game and the Bloods, like the Kurds in Iraq and Turkey and whatnot. And then we've indirectly supported Valen, our neighbor, as they're apparently waging some. We didn't know they were going to wage a genocide against the Bergs or against the Bloods initially, but we closed the border, and Valen is doing these kind of genocide things against the Bloods. And obviously the BFF is sort of the military arm of the Bloods to try and stand against them. And so that's kind of the way to think that. Because the case is now in the hands of the Supreme Court, this ruling will influence all future implementation of the law and the decision-making of the lower courts. We have the Minister of Justice here with us too. I'm sure she would not disagree with what I just said. I'm afraid Mr. Kibner is right about this. If the court ignores the case now, this may turn into something massive. Therefore, we have to pressure the courts not to escalate the already high tensions. What do you really think will happen if the court ignores it? What's the most likely outcome of the case? The first and most likely outcome is the Supreme Court completely ignores the arguments and rejects it in its entirety. If they ignore all the points and strike against Ersson, Governor Braun will be free to follow his discriminatory policies without obstacles. Okay. Okay. What are your plans and suggestions? Yeah, I don't think the Bloods are going to do that for me, Lord, though, because we worked with the Valens, so I doubt the Bloods are going to support me in my war against Rumburg if it should come. In my last time playthrough, I didn't even have a war with Rumburg. Granted, I allied with the sort of Fox America. Okay. Man, the people in their own parties are not happy with each other either. Why are you even comparing Sordland with United Cantana? Are you alright, Mr. Kibner? Okay. Remus, I'm gonna throw you in prison if you don't shut the fuck up. Neither can I. I think it's time we wrap this up. I personally somewhat agree with Mr. Kibner on this. Must use this as an opportunity to show the flaws in the Constitution if the court agrees that there's in fact a conflict between the articles. And the Hawker Court's going to listen to that. Besides, we don't agree with your inherent racism hogwash. Well, I think the NFP stance could do some good for the Bloodish without provoking establishment, but even that might be risky. The PFJP stance is too radical. Good thing I'm not in either of your parties. I think I've heard enough. USP will join the statement. We'll argue that Articles 6 and 7 are inherently discriminatory and conflict with rights of the people. USP will join the statement. We will argue that the Bloodish people are considered swords before the law, as Mr. Kibner suggested. Okay. What's the policy on spoilers here? I mean, I haven't played since the very early release, so some of these stories like this one are completely new and I don't recall them ever coming up. Okay. Energy prices are still fluctuating. Gasum shares result. The board of Gasum approved and concluded the sale of the shares. The final transaction results in the divestment have arrived in the report. +2. Okay. Solved my budget problem. For the time being. And more energy fluctuations, which are not great. Gasum investment a boon for Sordland? Is it though? We spent 2 and got 2 back. Despite meticulous planning, the state treasury has reported lower than expected returns from the Gasum share divestment. Damn it. Okay, now what? Well, at least Gasum didn't collapse. It's reported that in the villages around Suzerain, a group of BFF missionaries are seeking to recruit militants. It looks like my economy is going up again, though, for whatever it's worth. Maybe I should have invested in that soccer club. Tensions are rising on this stupid little island over here. We're gonna end up at war with Vagsland too. A call from Marcel Kornti. Isn't this the media guy? That doesn't sound good. Greetings, Mr. President. I'm sorry to disturb you before such an important meeting, but I thought now would be a good time to talk about our arrangement. I'm sure you'll agree the support I and my network have given your administration has been nothing but beneficial. Half the non-state media in the country has been sharing positive news about you and downplaying the negative events. I haven't seen any benefits yet. Mr. Rayne, I used my connections to cancel the publishing of 73 negative articles and personally directed the results of more than 41 positive reports. Nobody in the entire country is supporting you as much as I am. On another note, I want to thank you for choosing Underhill Construction to complete the H3 highway. The mayor of country, Chris Scherer, is a close friend and an investor in Underhill, and your contracting of the firm has tripled his returns. Maybe I should have invested my personal fortune in Underhill. I didn't want to do that. It felt too corrupt. Moving on. I can't help but mention the tax breaks. They've been extraordinarily beneficial to our quarterly performance. You've successfully strengthened the backbone of the Sordland economy. Doesn't feel like it. Needless to say, I expect you to reinvest any surplus back into the economy and create more jobs. Out of goodwill, I'll share a key piece of information. The Lothberg Group has contingency plans if you decide to do anything rash that would disrupt their empires. You can't blame them, can you? Imagine someone trying to take your authority and personal wealth away without your consent. What? I don't even know what you're talking about. Since the start of your campaign, you've wisely committed to a market economy. Judging by that, I'm sure you're looking into privatizing some of the companies that are currently state-owned. I believe, therefore, that privatizing both the Needham Mining Group and the Sordland State Corporation would be both of our interests. After all, I'm considering buying stock in both companies. Privatizing both might be too much. Think about it this way. It's another step forward in the strengthening our economy. Please, at least think about it. Mr. Tusk is unfit to be the spokesperson for the Lothberg Group. His archaic thinking has only preserved a status quo that benefits himself and precious few others. It's high time something changed. I see where this is going. If you promised me a majority shares from the privatization, he would lose considerable power, which means I could take over. I'll have to think about it. Think about all the free help you've gotten from me and the many scandals you might have to cover up on your way to re-election. Well then, what scandals? I haven't even done anything corrupt. Have I set up any private companies? I don't think I've had the choice to set up any private companies. We used a private company to build a highway, and we're using another private company to build an airport. We also privatized some of the schools. Massive rally condemning President Rayne. Okay. Great. General Staff releases positive report. Okay. Supreme Court finds Governor Braun guilty. Today, the Supreme Court has charged Governor Braun for enacting the resettlement order, which discriminates against swords of different blood living in the special zone of Bergia. The court ruled in favor of Ishval Ersson's argument, and Governor Braun was fined and removed from office. However, the court did not agree with the other arguments put forward by Ersson and maintained the Constitution already provided for equal rights for everybody. As for the replacement for the governor, the Supreme Court ruled that in extraordinary circumstances such as this, the deputy of the governor shall assume duty until the end of the term, instead of president appointing a new governor. The deputy who will assume the office is Herbert Krull, an old member of the NFP. Oh no. The court's decision has garnered mixed reactions from the public, with some applauding the decision to hold the governor accountable for his actions, while others remain skeptical about the effectiveness of the ruling class. Oh, the NFP. The NFP are basically the Nazis? Kind of. They're a very right-wing group, and in a meeting we were in, their number 2 person was talking about the need to eliminate the Bloods. Okay. Well, that was a very confusing episode with the radicals and the reformists, I guess the reformists and the racists, coming together as we try and figure out what to do with Bergia, and the Bloodish people. But yeah, I guess we'll figure that out in our next episode. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Please leave your thoughts down below. And in our next episode, we get to do some privatization, or at least talk about it. Until next time, however, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'm out.